in Sikkim, where people used to live in huts and they used to draw water from the wells. They take care of different animals in the village. They were all friends with each other. They would share food with each other, whatever they cook. They would go around, and every evening, all the elders would sit under the banyan tree and tell interesting stories to the little ones. These little children, they would go to school during the day, but at night they were full of energy. They would go around chasing the cats or the dogs or the hens and have fun with them. And they loved these animals and they loved growing up with them. But even then, there was something that kept them excited every weekend. In this village was near to a forest which was protected by the government. And this forest was under a police officer named Jay. Now Jay was a young and handsome police officer who was in charge of taking care of the forest. But he loved coming to the village and listening to the stories from the older ones, and he loved telling stories to the little children. But there was one story in particular that the children absolutely loved. Every time Officer Jay would come, these children would run up to him, grab his hand, and then pull him towards a tree and make him sit down. Even before he could finish the food that was offered by the villagers, he would start laughing and say, all right, I'm sitting down." And once he was on the ground, they would beg him to tell the story that he has told them at least 1,000 times. These children would say, "Officer Jay, tell your favorite story again, please." And he would say, "Very well. Even though I've told you guys 100 times, you still beg for the same. But don't worry, this is the one that you'll never forget." Now, and he started telling the story. Now, all of the children sat down around him and were listening to him with their utmost attention. It felt like even the trees had fallen silent to listen to what is the officer about to say. And he starts the story that not too long ago, in a lively green jungle, there lived 4 dear friends. Now, any guesses, all of you, who are these 4 dear friends?
4 pandas, ma'am.
4 pandas? Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
That's right. Sikkim is not only home to the red pandas but also other animals like the flying squirrel and the musketeers. So these 4 friends were none other than Joe and Joanne, the twin red pandas, Gigi the deer, and Al the squirrel. Now these were the more naughtiest of the bunch. Every single evening they would come together and play. They loved playing different games. They loved going near the water and troubling the fishes sometimes. Al would sometimes pretend to be a monster and chase them. And Gigi would pretend to be a fairy and run so fast as if she could fly away. Joe and Joanne were the naughtiest among the 4. They were always scaring their friends, but they all loved each other dearly. One evening, they decided, how about we race back to our home? And they used back to our spot. They had one particular spot at the end of the jungle where they meet every day after troubling all the elders. And Joanne said, "Bet you can't beat me. I'm gonna be the fastest one there." And Al said, "You're on. You might run on your 4s, but I can fly and I'll be the first one to our spot." Now Gigi, the wisest one among them, knew that she could outrun them, but let them believe that they can run fast. And they started running really fast. Although, as predicted, Gigi was the first one to arrive. But by then, Al was tired. He was so tired he couldn't even move a limb. And surprisingly, they also hid some pillows there so they can get some rest. After all the fun they had, they just wanted to lie down and not move at all. But then they heard voices from the parents calling, "Joe, Joanne, come on home now." And then they heard Gigi's parents calling, Gigi, come on now, it's time to go. Now, Al's parents knew there is no point calling him because he's not gonna move from his place for at least another half an hour. So they decided to meet again tomorrow at the same time. Gigi says, I had so much fun today. And Al says, let's meet here same time tomorrow. To which Joe replies, yes, let's meet here tomorrow evening and we'll have another race, which I will win for sure. I'm gonna beat you guys someday. And with that, they all went back home. It was almost midnight when they realized something isn't right. And initially, they thought it's raining because they could see something falling on their heads. But the night started feeling warmer than usual. When they woke up, they realized it's not rain, but ashes. Ashes coming from the trees. Trees, which was their home. And they woke up to realize that the entire forest has been set on fire. Now Joe and Joanne got scared, and they looked down to see that there are actually humans out there screaming and shouting. And when they took a closer look, they realized they're not just any humans, they were hunters who have crept into the night of the jungle to capture the pandas. And they had huge nets with which they had captured loads of them. One of them said, quickly, go grab all of them. We have to get them out of here today. And we have to catch as many as we can. All of the pandas were scared. They had no idea what was happening. Joe and Joanne take a look, and Joe asked, Joanne, what is happening? What do you think is going on? Now Joanne, who was equally as scared as Joe, said, I think they're hunting us, Jay. I think they're going to capture us and they're gonna sell us away like in the stories Mama used to tell us. I think they're here to kill us, Jay. Now, this scared Joe and Joanne a lot. They didn't want it to go down. They didn't want to get captured. And they definitely didn't want to be sold like a puppet. They didn't want to be used like an object. And they felt really, really scared. So they decided to run away. But then they realized when they were running away, they saw that all of their friends were captured on the ground, and they felt bad. Joe said, we can't just stay hidden, Joanne. We have to do something. These are our friends. These are our families. Now Joanne, who got all riled up as well, and she says, you are right, Joe. We have to do something. These hunters, they can't take our home away. If we let them go today, they will come back tomorrow again. And next time, they might even get us. So let's go down and do something. And let's go down and free all of these other pandas. And quickly, they ran down the tree and they started cutting down all of the nets. They had freed at least half of the pandas. And they said, quickly, run away before the hunters come along. Some of the pandas were scared. They had no idea. Some were very, very young. And they had no idea what was going on. But Joe and Joanne keep telling them, go ahead, go on. Please run away before they come back. While they were cutting down one of the nets, they realized there's a big shadow falling on the ground. Scared and trembling, they turned around to see a huge hunter with a big axe. He looked very, very angry. His face was scrunched up in anger, and he said, hey, get back here. I'm gonna catch you, and why are you freeing the rest of them? These pandas got scared. Joe and Joanne was about to run away, and they climbed up a tree. They thought they were safe, but another hunter came down with a big axe and started cutting down the tree. Now Joe and Joanne were trembling with fear. They thought, this is it. This is our end. They're gonna capture us. We can't run away. Nobody's coming to save us. As they were about to give hope, just then came Al screaming, leave my friends alone. These are my friends. Don't capture them. And he started scratching the hunter's ears and eyes, everything that he could. And he said, Joanne, run away before he catch you up. and they were so scared, and Joanne screamed, let's regroup at our spot. Let's go there before he comes along. And quickly they all ran away. Now Joe and Joanne had ran some distance, and they were scared that Al has not catch up to them yet. They were afraid if Al got away or not. As they were waiting, they realized there was a loud crunching sound from the right side, and they got scared that the hunter's back. But to their relief, it was none other than Al, who has just fallen off a tree. They picked him up and they ran to their spot where they finally met with Gigi. Now, all of these four friends were very angry, and they said, this is not it. They can't just come to the jungle and take our friends and families away. We can't just not do anything about it. Joe said, we need a plan. We can't let them take anyone else now. Joanne said, we'll turn this jungle into a battlefield they'll never forget. And Gigi added, every branch, every vine, and every corner will be to our advantage. We can use this to trap them. Now Al was too angry for any words, but he did express his fear with a loud crawl his little body could make. Now all of these friends decided to work together and start setting up traps all around the jungle. And they also realized maybe traps are not enough. Maybe we should practice a little bit and make some weapons. And they started setting up the traps in all of the paths where the hunter had come from. And Joe also started working on some weapons that they could use to hurt the hunters when they come along. Now, Gigi, being the wise one, started guiding them where these traps could go. Now, Al was the tiniest one, and he could reach the point where Joe, Gigi, or Joanne could not reach, and he could climb the farthest. So they all set up huge traps, and they were ready for the next wave of hunters to come to the jungle. Now, as they lay awake in wait for the hunters to come, surely they did. Soon the hunters came, but this time they were. The moment the hunters stepped into the jungle, Joanne screamed, "Charge! Let's get them, everyone!" And one by one, all of the hunters started falling down in the trap. And the biggest one, the one who had captured, the one who had Al scratched in the eye, he could not believe that these four animals have trapped all of his friends. And he himself fell down a hole that they have created. And he said, "Impossible! These four animals cannot capture me. I'm going to come out and kill all of you." He was so angry, he did not even want to capture them at this point. He just wanted to take revenge and hurt them. But by the time he could come out, all the four friends ran away, and they were trapping the other hunters. But to their horror, the hunter's words were all true. He did come out of the hole, but before he could come out, they started going around and removing the locks of the traps. And Al, "Shush, little one, don't make any noise. We're here to save you. Quickly, we'll open the trap and you will have to run away." And Gigi added, "Quick, before the hunter comes back, we have to let them go now." And they started running away. Now Al guiding the way where they could run. But the hunter was getting closer, and he finally made a huge scream, "Where are you?" And they all got so scared they ran away and hid behind wall, a huge stone. They thought they were safe, but to their surprise and horror, they were not. And the hunter finally caught up with them. He had a creepy, huge smile on his face, and he said, "Ha ha ha, now I've got you. And this time I'm not even gonna capture you. I'm gonna kill every single one of you." Now this settled a huge, big fear in their hearts. They thought, is this the end? Is this what's gonna happen now? The hunter grabbed Joe and picked him up. Now they were all trembling and screaming. Just then, something else happened. A boy around the age of 12 started running towards them. Now this surprised the hunter, and he realized, whoa, what is happening? The boy had been witnessing everything that's happening around, but he was so scared. He has never seen his father like this. And he said, "Dad, what's going on here?" But the boy didn't realize that he was actually running towards a huge trap that the four friends had set up for the hunters, and he was about to get in the trap. The hunter yelled, "Wait, Jay, watch out! There's a trap! Don't run!" But Jay could not hear him. Before he could hear and make sense of any of his father's word, he almost stepped on the trap. But Gigi saw that, and she realized she could not let the child get away, so she jumped and pushed the boy away. But while doing that, she herself got trapped in it, and the sharp layers of it cut her paw, and she started bleeding and crying. Even in so much pain, she still cared about the boy, and she asked him, "Are you all right?" The boy got a huge scar on his eye, and he started crying as well, but he could not believe what had happened. But the one who was most surprised was none other than the hunter. He was angry. He couldn't fathom why would the red panda do that, and he said, "Why would a panda save a human child?" Now Joanne explained, looked towards the hunter, and she said, "A child is a child whether it's a human or a panda. If he had gotten trapped in this, he would have bled, and I wouldn't like to see him like this. These traps were set by us. I would never want to hurt an innocent human. And it doesn't matter. The rage is not enough. There is compassion, there is empathy, and there is life. This boy, I could not let him get trapped and get hurt." After hearing that, the hunter was surprised, and he said he overcame with a lot of guilt and a lot of fear, and he started crying. And he realized whatever he has been doing so far was not right. And he said, "From today onwards, I will stop hunting all of these animals. I don't want to hurt you or anyone ever again. In fact, I will protect the forest from now on." And he made a promise to all of his friends, grabbed his child, and went back. And after going home, he studied a lot and hard. And sooner and later, he did come back to the jungle. But this time, he didn't come back to hunt any animals or burn down the jungle. He came back as a protector of the jungle, as forest officer of the jungle. And he remained friends with the red pandas and Gigi and Al until they grew old. Now this child of the hunter had watched his father transform from a cruel man to an honest and a compassionate human. And he watched as his father grew old and as his four friends grew older. And sooner than later, he came back to the very place. Now, after finishing the story, the children were so excited. They never get bored of this story, and one of the child said, "Thank you for telling us a story again, Ajay. We love it every time you tell us this story." Can you all guess who is this man?
Ma'am, the hunter's son.
Yes, it is the hunter's son. He too came back to the jungle, and he too wanted to protect this jungle just like his father. So he studied hard all of these years, and he came back, and this time he worked with the government to have more and more protected areas in the jungles where they can protect the animal from other hunters and other poachers. And sooner the hunters stopped coming when they were all caught, and the area was protected not only by Jay but also his other animal friends. And when they listened to these stories, the children also grew up to be kind and compassionate, and they followed the same example. And our post-session activity is you have to make your own red panda mask, and you have to wear it and then share photo with us. I will be sharing the video in the group of how you can draw the red panda mask like this.